Hey everybody, I finally made it online to get stave 2 underway. I just realized I'm looking at the screen here. It kind of looks like the elf on the shelf is sitting on my head. Anyway, I don't think she is, but that's Emma, if you need to know. And I don't remember his name, but that's our other elf on the shelf. Anyway, that's your little extra dose that you get each day. You got my Christmas tree the other day, now you get our elves on the shelf. Although they don't move. My kids are too old now. They don't. They just kind of stay there. All right. So stave 2, Ghost of Christmas Present. Right. Last time we left, Scrooge had sort of extinguished the Ghost of Christmas Past. He pulled the hat that kind of looked like a candle extinguisher down over its head. It was gone. So as we open stave 3, we'll pay attention to some of the things that we've already talked about: the characterization, whether or not Scrooge has changed at all, and of course our theme of time. See if we see more evidence of that, and we can start to gather maybe what we're supposed to even think about time, what that has to do with anything. So we are on page 39 of your Study Sync PDF of Christmas Carol. If you're following along here, you'll be able to do your homework. Remember, your first question there is to identify sentence or sentences here in this first page or so that relate to our idea of time. Anyway, here we go. Stave 3, the second of the three spirits. Awaking in the middle of a prodigiously tough snore and sitting up in bed to get his thoughts together, Scrooge had no occasion to be told that the bell was again upon the stroke of 1. He felt that he was restored to consciousness in the right nick of time, for the especial purpose of holding a conference with the second messenger dispatched to him through Jacob Marley's intervention. But finding that he turned uncomfortably cold when he began to wonder which of his curtains this new spectre would draw back, he put them every one aside with his own hand, and lying down again, established a sharp lookout all around the bed, for he wished to challenge the spirit on the moment of its appearance, and did not wish to be taken by surprise and made nervous. So Scrooge wakes up, he assumes it's almost 1 again. He's kind of like, I know how this works with these ghosts now. So he assumes. He also doesn't want to be surprised this time. Remember, the last ghost pulled the curtain to his bed open. So he actually sits up and opens all the curtains to his bed, ties them back, and then lays down and starts watching. Because he wants to catch this ghost ahead of time and not get thrown off guard. Okay? Gentlemen of the free and easy sort who plume themselves on being acquainted with a move or two, and being equal to the time of day, expressed the wide range of their capacity for adventure by observing that they are good for anything from pitch and toss to manslaughter, between which opposite extremes, no doubt, there lies a tolerably wide and comprehensive range of subjects. Without venturing for Scrooge quite as heartily as this, I don't mind calling on you to believe that he was ready for a good broad field of strange appearances, and that nothing between a baby and a rhinoceros would have astonished him very much. In other words, he was ready for anything. He's like, man, that last ghost was freaky looking. I'm ready for anything. So it says he was ready for anything between a baby and a rhinoceros. So it's like, whatever, I'm not going to be surprised. Now, being prepared for almost anything, he was not by any means prepared for nothing. And consequently, when the bell struck 1, so now we've had 2 references to what time it is, and no shape appeared, he was taken with a violent fit of trembling. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a quarter of an hour went by, yet nothing came. All this time he lay upon his bed, the very core and center of a blaze of ruddy light, which streamed upon it when the clock proclaimed the hour, and which, being only light, was more alarming than a dozen ghosts, as he was powerless to make out what it meant, or would be at, and was sometimes apprehensive that he might be at the very moment an interesting case of spontaneous combustion, without having the consolation of knowing it. So, the clock struck 1, nothing happened. Didn't see a ghost. Some light shined on him, but that's all that happened, and somehow that was almost creepier to him. Of course, the ghost. At last, however, he began to think, and as you or I would have thought at first, for it is always the person not in the predicament who knows what ought to have been done in it, would unquestionably have done it too. At last, I say, he began to think that the source and secret of this ghostly light might be in the adjoining room, from whence, on further tracing it, it seemed to shine. This idea taking full possession of his mind, he got up and softly shuffled in his slippers to the door. So he started realizing, I think the light that's shining on me is coming from the room next door, so he decides to go investigate it. The moment Scrooge's hand was on the lock, a strange voice called him by his name and bade him enter. He obeyed. It was his own room. There was no doubt about that, but it had undergone a surprising transformation. The walls and ceiling were so hung with living green that it looked a perfect grove, from every part of which bright, gleaming berries glistened. The crisp leaves of holly, mistletoe, and ivy reflected back the light, as if so many little mirrors had been scattered there, and such a mighty blaze went roaring up the chimney, as that dull petrification of a hearth had never known in Scrooge's time, or Marley's, or for many and many a winter season gone. Heaped up on the floor to form a kind of throne were turkeys, geese, game, poultry, brawn, great joints of meat, sucking pigs, long wreaths of sausage, mince pies, plum puddings, barrels of oysters, red-hot chestnuts, cherry-cheeked apples, juicy oranges, luscious pears, and minced twelfth cakes, and seething bowls of punch that made the chamber dim with their delicious steam. In an easy state upon the couch, there sat a jolly giant. So start paying attention. What does this spirit look like? Glorious to see, who bore a glowing torch, in shape not unlike Plenty's horn, and held it up, high up, to shed its light on Scrooge as he came peeping around the corner. "Come in!" exclaimed the ghost. "Come in and know me better, man!" Scrooge entered timidly and hung his head before the spirit. He was not the dogged Scrooge he had been, and though the spirit's eyes were clear and kind, he did not like to meet them. "I am the ghost of Christmas present," said the spirit. "Look upon me." Scrooge reverently did so. It was clothed in one simple green robe, or mantle, bordered with white fur. This garment hung so loosely on the figure that its capacious breast was bare, as if disdaining to be warded or concealed by any artifice. Its feet, observable beneath the ample folds of the garment, were also bare, and on its head it wore no other covering than a holly wreath, set there and there with shining icicles. Its dark brown curls were long and free as its genial face, its sparkling eye, its open hand, its cheery voice, its unconstrained demeanor, and its joyful air. Girded round its middle was an antique scabbard, but no sword was in it, and an ancient sheath was eaten up with rust. "You've never seen the likes of me before," exclaimed the spirit. Now here's the thing. The ghost of Christmas present is huge. Is there anything bigger than the present? The day of right now is bigger than any other day, right? The ghost of Christmas present is covered with all these Christmassy things, a holly crown on its head. It's sitting on top of all this Christmas food. It may not be the food you and I eat for Christmas now, but it would have been then. And he's happy and he's loud, right? And he's only wearing a robe, because there's really nothing no more bare to us than the present, what we're in. It's big, it's in our face, right? Just like this giant. "You've never seen the likes of me before," exclaimed the spirit. "Never," Scrooge made answer to it. "Have never walked forth with the younger members of my family, meaning, for I am very young, my elder brothers born in these later years," pursued the phantom. "I don't think I have," said Scrooge. "I'm afraid I have not. Have you many brothers, spirit?" "More than 1,800, said the ghost. The ghost of Christmas present has brothers. Those are the other ghosts of other Christmases, because they're the ghosts of Christmas present. They only exist that Christmas. He has 1,800 plus brothers, because the year is 1842 or whatever in this. So the ghost of Christmas present just exists then, and his brothers only existed on those Christmases. "A tremendous family to provide for," muttered Scrooge. The ghost of Christmas present rose. "Spirit," said Scrooge submissively, "conduct me where you will. I went forth last night on compulsion, and I learnt a lesson which is working now. Tonight, if you have aught to teach me, let me profit by it." Touch my robe. Scrooge did as he was told and held it fast. Holly, mistletoe, red berries, ivy, turkeys, geese, game, poultry, brawn, meat, pigs, sausages, oysters, pies, puddings, fruit, and punch all vanished instantly. So did the room, the fire, the ruddy glow, the hour of night, and they stood in the city streets on Christmas morning, where, for the weather was severe, the people made a rough but brisk and not unpleasant kind of music, in scraping the snow from the pavement in front of their dwellings, and from the tops of their houses, whence it was mad delight to the boys to see come plumping down into the road below, and spitting into artificial little snowstorms. The house fronts looked black enough, and the windows blacker, contrasting with the smooth white sheet of snow upon the roofs, and with the dirtier snow upon the ground, which last deposit had been plowed up in deep furrows by the heavy wheels of carts and wagoners. Okay, we're going to stop there for this video. When we pick it up the next video, we're going to be on the page where you're supposed to figure out the tone. So be ready. Tone. How it makes you feel. I will see you guys in just a few minutes.